It's Monday, March 9th, 2026. It's the first day of NFL free agency, but it's like the 17th year of the Knee Jerks podcast with Eno, Nick, and Big Al. How's that for a segue? I actually came up with a good one for once. All right, I'm Al Beaton. I'm the Big Al of the equation of the podcast. I've been doing this, like I said, I've been doing this seemingly forever at this point. And, of course, joining me, as always, to talk Detroit sports, our West Coast correspondent. That would be our scientist, Nick Milanovich. How's things, Nick?
Hey, things are going pretty good over here. And it must be going good because I just suddenly, after about a week, I have sun outside, and I'm indoors stuck with you guys. So
yeah. I know, because it's absolutely gorgeous here right now. It was like like 70 today. It'll be in the high 60s tomorrow. But like I said, fall, spring, it'll be back in the 20s in a week. So, but but it's sunny and not raining. I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked.
Yeah, after like a cold weekend. And, no, things are looking good.
Awesome. And of course, my longtime partner in crime, the man who knows a lot of things about a lot of things. The man who has a Substack that, I got the email today, but I didn't even look at it. So it's a surprise to me what Greg wrote about today. But of course, that is Greg Eno, who has been putting up with me for 17 years. Well, actually, longer than that, 'cause we first met when we were blogging years and years and years ago. Greg, how are things on your end?
Well, everybody has a Substack now. Why don't you have one? Why doesn't Nick have one? Everybody has one nowadays. I mean, come on now. I wrote about autographs. I went back in time, thought about my first autograph that I ever got. It was Bud Lynch, by the way, a spoiler alert. And just the whole thing about getting autographs. It was kind of a fun thing to write. I am Greg Eno from my aforementioned Greg Eno Substack, gregeno.substack.com. Please subscribe. I will be in your inbox every Monday. Follow me on Twitter at Greg Eno. Follow the Knee Jerks on Twitter at the Knee Jerks. No guests tonight. That's okay because we have been having some guests lately, and it's kind of taken away from some of the other topics we need to talk about. So we've got the whole docket of Detroit sports ready for you tonight. But before we get to any of that, we're going to play a game we like to call Whose Birthday Is It, Maestro? Everybody knows how we play this game right now. I give Al and Nick a clue or two or three of an individual whose birthday it is today in the world of sports. And if one of those gentlemen can correctly guess this person within the first two clues, as a nod to Nick, who's based in Seattle, they will receive the history of the Seattle Pilots. History of the Seattle Pilots.
That would be a pamphlet, correct?
It'd be a pamphlet. They were only in MLB for one season, the Pilots were, 1960.
Honestly, you could kind of say that book's been written by Jim Bouton in Ball 4.
Yeah, right. You're right. And Jim wasn't even there for the whole year. But
exactly.
For that season. So this person, guys, made his name in the world of football. He was born on this date in 1956. He turned 70 years old today. He made his name more specifically in college football, where he prowled the sidelines. I'm not going to tell you where because that'd be a giveaway, but suffice it was in the Big Ten.
And what year did you say he was born again?
56.
56, made his name prowling the sidelines of the Big Ten.
12 seasons of the Big Ten.
12 season. It was football?
It was football.
Football. Any guesses, Nick?
70 years old. Urban Meyer?
No, not a bad guess, but no, that's not bad. It's not bad.
He's about that age, right?
Yeah, close.
He's close to it, yeah, okay.
Close.
For a second, I thought Lloyd Carr, but I think he's older than that. So, God, there's so many. It's probably a coach of like Purdue or Illinois or Wisconsin or something like that. But all the names are, they're all kind of bumbled together right now. So, I'm going to pass.
If I tell you a school, it might be a giveaway. Keep that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll save that for the next one then.
Okay.
We'll save that for question 2. Because I am so eager to see if one of us gets the pamphlet. So,
he's going to post it on Twitter. It's that short.
All right, 180 characters. Yeah.
Yes.
What a cheap award.
Yes. Oh, and Greg, before we get going, why don't you tell everybody how they can find the podcast we were on Friday night?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we did
Yes.
a guest appearance on Chris Pome's show, Live with CDP. I think is how I think that's the name of the show.
Yeah.
I think Al, you might put a link to that.
Yeah, I'll put a link to it in the show
our
notes.
Here, yeah, we
Yes.
did that show on Friday.
Yep.
A lot of fun. Chris, of course, pinch hit for me last October when I was on vacation on this program. Did a good job, and I've been on Chris's show several times. Good guy.
Yeah.
And he's all over the map. He's a Canadian. He's a Canadian guy who loves the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's a Tigers fan, and he's got all these weird fandoms. I don't know where he. It don't make any sense to me, but Chris is a great guy, and we had a lot of fun on the show on Friday.
But yeah, the links will be into the show notes, and we did have a lot of fun, but it's always depressing to hear about what's happening to the CFL because he kind of continued to fill us in on the Americanification, the NFLification of the CFL, which none of us like. So, All right. We have lots to talk about this week between Steve Yzerman actually making a deadline deal. We have the Tigers are in the dog days of spring training, and they have some roster decisions to make. Obviously, I mentioned to start the show that today was the first day of free agency, and the Lions made a lot of roster changes. I think some expected, some very unexpected that we'll talk about. And the Pistons are struggling. So let's start with the Pistons because we'll get the bad stuff out of the way because it's been a very depressing, about a week and a half or so of the Pistons, 2 weeks. They've lost 4 straight. They're now when we last I remember because I was looking through the show notes of our last show and they were on a 5-game winning streak when we last talked. Well, they're now on a 4-game losing streak. It's the worst slump, whatever you want to call it, of the season because I think their longest losing streak to this point was just 2 games. So they've lost. Like I said 4 in a row. I think the worst was loss number 3 of that streak, which was a god-awful home loss to the tanking Brooklyn Nets, where they blew a 23-point second-half lead. That was like a 12-point lead they blew in the late fourth quarter, something to that effect. And they didn't have Cade, Cunningham, and Ausar Thompson, but that's a team they should beat without those guys. And they beat better teams than that without those guys earlier in the year. Unfortunately, it really feels like the offense has fallen off a cliff. And their signature being the defense kind of has been lacking over the past couple weeks, and I don't think it's a coincidence that Thompson badly rolled his ankle. I think in the second loss of this streak, in a loss to the Spurs, and the Spurs dominated. They had no answer for Wembanyama, and he's going to miss multiple games. There's no word of him he's going to come back, and it's probably not a coincidence that the Pistons have been struggling mightily since they lost Thompson. So I know, Nick, you've been watching the Pistons a lot. Do you have any thoughts on this slump that's actually been kind of disturbing?
I missed a few of the games, like the second one with San Antonio, and I didn't.
That was a good one to miss. Trust me.
Well, so was the one with Brooklyn, actually.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, like. I check the score on occasion for the Brooklyn game, and they were up 15, 20 points, and all of a sudden they lost.
Yeah,
and you're like, what?
That's right. I remember seeing a text like, "What the fuck happened?"
How do you collapse against Brooklyn because they're a bottom feeder this year? And but I watched the game a little bit with what's the one last night with who the heck was it?
Oh, the Miami Heat.
The Heat.
Yeah. Honestly, they look sluggish.
Yeah.
They look sluggish. They didn't have a lot of energy. I don't think it's just Thompson either. Like you were saying, they were out 5, 6, rotation guys, starters and rotation guys early in the year, and they basically they were deep in their bench and still winning. So they look sluggish. One of the things that's really off is their shooting. Their shooting has kind of gone completely cold.
Yeah.
If you look at Duncan Robinson, he's, I know he's a replacement for Malik Beasley, but he's like a bargain basement replacement. And the same with Hardaway and LeVert. LeVert can't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Honestly, that's how bad his shooting is. But it's bad all around. actually.
Yeah.
So they're chucking up a lot of shots. And
Cade's had a couple really bad, especially the Spurs game. He had an awful shooting night that night.
Right, and he has those actually. I know City's talked about it a lot, about his efficiency, and he was not efficient. I don't think he ever was really particularly efficient. But when nobody else is shooting, it just amplifies that issue. So I think that's what happened there. And the defense, they may not be as as stout right now, but it's probably because the offense has just gotten weak, and so the defense can only hold so much if there's no way to punch back. So I'm hoping it's just a slump and it just doesn't go into the playoffs. But I just don't know. I mean, they're slumping. It could be just finally they're running out of gas and or are waiting for the. I'm hoping they just. That's it. It's a late season little slump, and then they get out of that funk, and then they're ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's funny that one guy they were kind of leaning on for a little extra shooting, Dennis Jenkins, he hasn't been the same player since he got converted from a two-way player to a full NBA contract. He has not looked good as getting some run, especially in the games where he didn't have Cade, where he looked like an a legit NBA backup point guard earlier in the season. And these last few games, he has struggled mightily as well.
Yeah, him and they traded for Kevin Huerter's another one.
Yeah.
They traded for him. He looks like a wounded chicken out there. Honestly, he does not look graceful at all. And he was hesitant to take a shot. So at least that's the way it appeared to me last night. He's just shoot, man. They got you in the game to be, and they want you as a shooter. Shoot.
Yeah, they want him to do one thing. Exactly that. Exactly.
And he wasn't. So
yeah.
I'm not sure how that trade will pan out in the end either. So I mean, it doesn't look that useful. At the moment.
Yeah, and Greg, I thought it was interesting that J.B. Bickerstaff, I think after the loss to the Nets, had a quote to the effect of, they stopped respecting the game, essentially implying that they relaxed, they thought they had the Nets game in the bag, and it came back to bite them in the ass. Because they were up, 23 points in that game.
Yeah, I was expecting that they would bounce back better against the Heat because of that game. They a big lead against like Nick said, a bottom feeding team going nowhere. A quote unquote tanking team or whatever. I was looking at the Oklahoma City Thunder. They got off to that 24-1 start, and as Nick was talking, I brought up their schedule this year, the Thunder. After 24-1, they went 6-6. Now it's only 12 games, but these things happen. My point is that these things happen. It's officially a slump. Everything you guys said is true. The shooting's off. The defense is a little off. Cade is off. They've missed a lot of guys. Don't forget, we had the suspensions that they had to live through. A little bit of Duran on the suspension. A lot more of Stewart being suspended. Ausar situation. I agree about Huerter. I don't know what that's all about. They traded for this guy in JB. It's the one guy that JB won't play. It's weird. He plays everybody else except Huerter. He loves Karis LeVert for whatever reason, which is a player that the Pistons fan.
He's a black hole. I heard he doesn't pass.
And nobody likes LeVert. And JB seems to like him for whatever reason. Gets consistently 18 to 20 minutes, which is kind of weird. But this is, I think it's just a combination of these things happen over the course of 82 games. They went so long without even losing 3 in a row. Now they've lost 4. The Nets game is bad, no question about it. They had that bad loss a few weeks earlier to the Wizards. Yeah, probably should have lost to the Wizards before that. The last time they were in Detroit. Like I told you guys, I'm really kind of interested to see how this team's going to do in the playoffs. I really don't know now. I don't know if they're a second round exit team or if they can make it to the conference finals. I think they'll get past the first round. But I don't know. I have to admit, this is kind of shaking me a little bit. I'm trying not to overreact because it is only 4 games.
Right.
But they do have a weird scheduling court coming up next week. They played the Wizards 2 games in a row in Washington, March 17th and 19th. Kind of a weird quirk there. So they'll fly to Washington, stay for a few nights, play a couple of games against another very bad team that they should win both games against. But they got the Thunder on the road later in the month. I think they've got the Raptors coming up pretty soon. They had a really rough stretch too, guys. I mean, they played the Spurs twice. They played the Cavaliers twice. It was a rough. They were lucky when they came in Detroit. So it's a combination of things. It's a long season, kind of a gauntlet. The schedule was kind of a gauntlet there for a while. Guys going down, guys missing shots. It's just, you mentioned Jenkins. I don't know if you guys saw I don't think Nick did, but I was watching the end of that Brooklyn game on Saturday night, and Pistons had a very good chance to either tie the game or go ahead late in the game still, and they had a timeout. JP was furiously drawing up some sort of a play on the tablet there, and the ensuing possession, I'm not sure if you saw this, Al, the ensuing possession was just a nightmare of atrocities. Ended up with Jenkins taking some off-balance jumper that didn't even hit the rim. It was like a 10-footer. It was an air ball. Yeah. And I'm like, no, there's no way that JB drew this up. I don't know what went wrong there.
Yeah, something went wrong, or it was hero ball, one of the two.
Yeah, right. And it was that pretty much sunk the game for him. And I was on Reddit that night, and everybody in the Pistons Reddit just wanted Jenkins off the team at that point. But he hasn't played very well. You're right. To your point, he hasn't played very well since he got the bag.
Yeah.
I'm going to add in one more thing, and I never want to forget to mention our fan favorite B-Ball Paul. They finally brought him in for garbage minutes at the end of last night's game. And considering how lethargic the rest of that team looked, I'm like, why not put this guy in? Because this guy is like, you can't light a match near him. He's got so much energy. Right. And it's like, put him in there. He's never not ready to play.
Right.
It's like very impressive, actually. And but he's like deep down in the bench. He doesn't get in the games often. I'm like, put this guy in. Especially now that Thompson, another high energy guy, is not there.
Yeah.
So and Reed can score actually.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? I'm tired of seeing bricks being laid. Like, give a guy a chance to score. So
yeah, and speaking of Thompson, we kind of discussed this a little bit in our little group text about sooner or later they're going to have to make decisions on these guys that can't shoot, specifically Thompson and Holland, because you cannot play those two on the court at the same time.
Right.
So, if they're going to make a big swing, it sounds like they'll try and make a big swing this offseason. I mean, they're so far ahead of schedule. No one was expecting, a number 1 seed this year. I think we were all thinking, okay, home games, home playoff games. I think everybody was a 4 seed. And here we are, they're still up, like 2 or 3 games up in the East after these 4 losses. But one of those guys is likely going to go in a trade. And honestly, I'm thinking it's going to be Holland, just because I think this team really depends on Holland's defense, because he can guard 5 people. He can pretty much guard all 5 positions, especially 4 of them really good. Especially wings and guards. So if there's and Holland, great energy guy. Guy's got a motor to end all motors, but he's got to be able to shoot, and he's not as good of a defender as Thompson.
I thought Holland was supposed to be a better shooter than he is.
Yeah.
And
all that talk of Fred Vinson fixing their shots.
Oh God, you mean the Pistons, Chris Fetter?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think he's earning his money at the moment, because these guys, their shooting is so off, every single one of these guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because as much as I enjoy, guys, the Pistons being good in the mid-range and great in the paint, you still got to make the occasional 3, because as we've seen, when they can't make a 3, they just pack the paint, and then Cade Cunningham is like, running. It was like watching David Montgomery trying to run behind Graham Glasgow. He's kind of running into that clog right there in the paint.
Yeah. So, but let's just hope it's nothing but a slump right now.
Yeah.
Slump.
But I'm with Greg though. This has, in the back of your mind, it's like, wait, I was thinking this is a team that could at least make the Eastern Conference Finals. Now we're seeing some of the cracks in the foundation, or it hasn't been completely built yet. And you got that little voice in the back of your head saying, if they struggle this much on offense and everybody ramps up their defense in the playoffs, it could get ugly. If they have a couple bad shooting nights.
I think if they had beaten the Nets as they should have, even if they lost the other 3 games, just beating the Nets, I think losing to the Nets really shook the fan base. I mean, really.
Oh
shook.
Yeah.
And I know that happens in the NBA. And it happens all the time where a team upsets another team on the road. It happens. I understand that, but that really, it was the way it happened. If it was one of those games where sometimes when a team comes into your building, they play above their head. They kind of stay in the game the whole game. They never really pull away from them. They're always within 8 to 10 points, and they kind of keep it close in the fourth quarter. They're arm's length away, 6 to 10 points. You can't really ever put them away.
Yeah.
They might, steal that game in the latter few minutes. That happens. But I think what shook the fan base is they had that 22-23 point lead over these guys, and that should be a game that is over. I don't care if you're slumping or not. And the Pistons, quite frankly, had been pretty good at sticking their boot on teams' necks like that. And this time they didn't. And they didn't have Cade. I understand that. But it was, I don't know. It was just the half-court offense in that game, especially in the fourth quarter, left a lot to be desired. There was a 24-second violation, which should never happen. Should never happen. I mentioned the Jenkins weird play at the end of the game. The Nets got a little hot. Who was that guy that was?
Yeah, it was a big man that couldn't miss. I know exactly what you're talking
points
about.
in the fourth quarter. What was that guy's name?
I don't remember his name, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
How was he annoying me? It was Sharp. Day'Ron Sharp played like he was freaking Jokic. It was very annoying.
Or B-Ball Paul, for that matter.
What's that?
Or B-Ball Paul, he was playing honestly.
That happens too sometimes, where some dude that comes out of nowhere plays way above his head.
I'm sure other teams had said the same about like Dennis Jenkins when he had a few of those games like that. You're right. Yeah. Sometimes guys get hot, and I mean they are an NBA team with some NBA talent. You're right. So, in the NBA, shit happens. Right. But you're right. But when shit happens in the midst of a very, very difficult stretch, and you're injured and you've gone cold from 3-point land, that's the kind of loss that can shake up a fan base, and it did.
Guys, is that because they had this gauntlet of games? Because a couple weeks ago, I remember texting you guys. Look at this. I texted you like the next 6 games, and it was like a freaking gauntlet.
Yeah.
Then you look beyond those 6 games. You say, well, how long can this continue? Then after the Nets. Okay, go.
Yeah.
God.
Right.
And then the Heat. Okay, then the next again. Oh, thank God. Well, they got the Nets again tomorrow or tonight. I think it's tomorrow. And it's like, okay, but the Nets was supposed to be a win, guys. What are we doing here? So that's what it is. You look at the schedule and you say, oh, it's a breather. And when it's not a breather, that gets the fans upset.
And that's and they handled that stretch fairly well. They went 3-3.
Yeah, they weren't bad.
And then bam, the Nets game threw everyone for a loop, and then you were thinking, okay, then Miami could be the get well game, or maybe they can get their shit together because obviously Cade's going to be back.
Right.
And as Nick said, they just seem discombobulated and a step slow. So we'll see if tomorrow's a get well game, with the Nets. So, all right, with that, Greg, how about question 2 of the birthday game?
Sure. This person was born in 1956. He coached in the Big Ten in football for some 13 years actually, 2007 to 2019. And should I give this one or not? I give this one, it might be a giveaway. I will say that maybe this might be helpful, but not a giveaway. He was the defensive coordinator for Ohio State from 2001-2003 before moving to Cincinnati.
Oh, I kind of thought of this. as when coming up this. Is it Mark D'Antonio?
It's Mark D'Antonio. It sure is. Yeah.
Seems like he's been gone longer than that, honestly.
Yeah.
He's been gone
was his last year.
Yeah.
I didn't even think his name didn't even come to mind.
Yeah.
So I found out that the Urban Meyer's way younger than I expected. He was born in '64.
Oh, 64. Okay.
Holy crap! He's younger than me.
I thought he was like close to 70. I thought he was much older. So
Yeah.
But you forget. I forgot this too. D'Antonio was here as an assistant under Perlis from '95 to 2000.
Yeah.
Or not under Perlis. Maybe was that the Nick Saban years? Maybe that was Saban. Nick Saban.
That sounds
Yeah, that would have been Saban. Yeah.
Saban and Williams from '95 to 2000.
Yep. Has D'Antonio smiled yet? For as much as they say about Kirk Signetti never smiling, neither did D'Antonio. He always looked pissed.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. All right. Well, I'll be. You can email me that pamphlet anytime. Yeah,
I will.
Just make it a JPEG.
A meme.
just put it in the
Yes. Yeah. All right. With that, before we move on to the teams that have been making lots of roster moves, let's talk about a team that's still pondering the roster moves as we're in the dog days of spring training. Obviously, that'd be the Tigers. Opening day is 2 weeks away, guys, in San Diego. I believe opening day is March 26th. Yeah. And I guess the big question essentially is Kevin McGonigle going to start the season as their shortstop? I mean, he's hitting the ball. I don't know how he did today, but before today, he had an 898 OPS in spring training. He was hitting 353, playing decent defense. Looked like he was going to be able to handle it. But the thing is, if he starts the season in Detroit, it really changes how they're going to build the team. So if McGonigle makes the team, he's going to be your full-time shortstop. So that makes Javi Baez essentially at least half of an outfield platoon in center field, because who else is going to do it? Because it looks like if you keep McGonigle, Parker Meadows is gone. At least I don't see them keeping him. He hasn't hit. He has a 291 OPS in spring training right now. He is not hitting. He has not hit since those 2 months during that crazy run to the playoffs 2 years ago. Yeah. So but if McGonigle makes the team, that frees you up for Baez and McKinstry to essentially become full-time subs who can play everywhere, and you might end up seeing a lot of, like I said, Baez in center field, and Wenzel Perez, and who all knows what else out there. Again, it sounds like it'll be a center field chaos, essentially. So, but yeah, it's. At this point, I don't see how he doesn't make the team because he's played so damn well.
Yeah, I think he'll make the team. They cut I think 4 guys got lopped off the roster.
Yeah, Max Clark being one of them.
Right.
Which was expected. Yeah.
Right. Clark struggled, and that's fine. But McGonigle, it's hard not to leave him off at this point. I don't see. And I didn't know Meadows was that bad. I think that Meadows is just. We've seen a lot of those kind of guys, Al, come through Detroit. These left-handed hitters with the big swings, and they're very mercurial. They have a couple of good months, to your point about Meadows in 2024, and then drop off. Need I say Brennan Bosch?
I was just going to say the same 2 words. Yes.
Yeah. So he's looking more and more. Meadows, that is looking more and more like a 4A player.
Yep.
Based on what you just said, I don't think he makes the team at all, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they would bring him north.
Right.
Baez in center. I was thinking about Baez. As the great Robin Yount, who started out as a shortstop and ended up playing center field himself.
Yeah.
Very well, by the way. Robin Yount was a very, very good center fielder. Yeah. And the way that Baez seems to have, I guess some defensive players are just good defensively, no matter where they play. And Baez, I think, did very well defensively as a center fielder.
If you can play shortstop, you can probably play any field. You can play any place on the field for the most part.
Trammell played a little bit of center field in his younger days, but I think that I'd be fine with this chaos you're talking about. Meadows can't be on the team. I didn't know he was
Yeah.
that bad. He can.
And also Matt Varing's healthy, so he'll be playing some outfield as well. So, and I actually may just be outfield chaos, period, because Kerry Carpenter's probably going to be mostly a DH, I hope, to keep him healthy.
Right.
So, it could be outfield chaos instead of pitching chaos.
Right, which is fine.
Yeah. I mean, that's essentially how the Tigers seem to like their team anyway. They like interchangeable pieces. They like guys who can play multiple positions.
Right.
Any thoughts, Nick?
I haven't been watching. I never watch kind of like the preseason stuff, so I can't tell. But from what I just remember from last year with Parker Meadows, I know he wasn't hitting in the playoffs like nobody was. I mean, that put a bad taste in my mouth. You got to hit in the playoffs. And, so, he was – I don't know if he hit anything then.
Yeah, the only two guys that hit in the playoffs were, Carpenter and Baez.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And so what that tells, if that's any indicator of anything, which is, these guys are not the ones to rely on, long term, especially if things get difficult.
Yeah.
Like in the playoffs, you're not going to be playing against the league doormats in that environment.
Right.
And if McGonigle is playing well, give him his shot. Like, stop, being weird about like taking it slow. It's just pull the trigger, damn it.
Why not? It's becoming obvious he's one of their better offensive players. At least, if he isn't, he's got a better bat in 3/4 of the team, it seems like, and he's got the upside of being the best bat on that team. So it's like let's roll. There's a hole, he can plug it. Let's roll with it. And if he doesn't work, you do have backup options, with Baez and whoever else you can throw around. And there's guys like Sweeney, for example. You always bring him up. So there are options, but it makes perfect sense just to roll with McGonigle. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to build on one of the things you said. The offense in general, that's the thing that struggled for the Tigers last year, especially down the stretch. And that's what I know a lot of fans, for us, it's, the big obvious sign, they need more offense, and the Tigers, all they went to get was pitching. It's like, where are they going to get it from? Well, if McGonigle can hit, they need it. They definitely need it. So.
We mentioned Clark just for a sec because he, as expected, he got sent down today. Any thoughts on the? I hate to call it a controversy. It just felt like there was a lot of Tigers fans online who lost their shit because the kid's flashy. Specifically, he had that one really bad game where he lost a couple of balls in a heavy wind. If you've ever been to Florida, it's windy as hell down there. He lost a couple balls in the wind, sun, or whatever, and he happened to be wearing 3-4 pair of chains around his neck. And you would have thought that kid had broken every rule in the goddamn book, and people were writing him off because you got to walk the walk if you're going to talk the talk. But he's 20 years old, and the other thing being, that is his personality. He's the future of the kid. We're going to see more and more kids like him because he is a social media he's big in social media, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and all that. And you're going to see more and more kids like him coming up. So I feel like telling some of these old heads, and I'm an old head, but it doesn't bother me in the least. I like seeing guys having fun. Don't get going on the face paint with those guys either. He wears too much eye black. Whatever. Whatever happened. They're probably the same people that hate bat flips. So, but it really got my goat seeing Tigers fans denigrating that kid because he's a little flashy.
It's what that reminds me of? It reminds me of when Stafford was in his first few years. Yeah. And one time he was on the sidelines with his baseball cap backwards.
Oh, yes. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Remember Mike Ditka kind of well, that's a sign of what the fuck are you talking? Mike Ditka had too many shots to the head, I think.
Yeah.
But, great tight end, but like dumb as a bunch of rocks. And but it's like fixating on nothing, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Who the hell cares if he plays well and he wants to wear 4 chains? Let him.
Yeah.
Did it get in the way? Did it make him miss a ball? Did it make him like? No, it's a fixation on nothing.
Yeah, and if there was a real issue, AJ Hinch would come down on him. No, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But sometimes it just bothers me. Baseball fans can be such gatekeepers and baseball is the most tradition-filled game, but it's not 1950 anymore, or hell, not even 1990 anymore.
Right.
I mean, would these guys? These probably would have been the same people upset because remember when Ken Griffey Jr. used to wear his hat backwards, like in batting practice and shit. So, I just found it very irritating because social media was filled with Max Clark hate, and he even finally responded to it, essentially saying that's who I am, and the thing is, if you followed him through the minor leagues, that's who he is, So, and if he ends up becoming their center or everyday center fielder, give you 4 or 5 WAR a year, people are gonna love him, So, I hate that gatekeepy type, act like you've been there before bullshit, Much as I love Barry Sanders, I always kind of thought maybe he should have showed a little more emotion out there. Maybe it would have helped the team. Because he always, I think this is, because remember, it was his dad who drove that into him. Another old head that drove it into him. You're not as good as Jim Brown, and Jim Brown didn't spike the ball. So, I try, I'm getting up there in age, and I try not to be like that kind of guy.
Yeah, it's that must have been comments from guys who get yelled at by their wives more than average.
Yeah.
Like when they get home, it's like they're looking for an outlet of some kind.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about it. It's
like
I said, it's fixating on nothing. Basically. Yeah.
Right.
So
and speaking of nothing, there was some news came out this past week or so about Skubal's contract talks. He pitched a couple days ago for Team USA in the WBC, allowed a run, 2 hits in 3 innings. He had a decent outing other than he gave up a home run to a nobody on the first pitch of the game. But, it was Great Britain. They were going to win the game no matter what. Right. But post-game, he decided, I might pitch, but today he said, no, I'm leaving after tonight's game. I'm done pitching for Team USA. But the bigger news that came out during all this is that a couple days ago, he revealed that the Tigers had not made a single contract offer to him, and people are losing their minds over that. And I'd say it makes sense. Why would the Tigers bid against themselves? Because that's what they would be doing right now.
Right.
Because it's obvious he's going to be. He was obvious a year ago he was going to walk, at least go to the open market. So for people to be upset that, how can the Tigers make an offer? Because it sets a baseline. You don't want to do that.
Right. No, totally agree. I saw that headline, and I didn't know whether that was like real or rumor that some reporter had, but I thought the same thing. It's like, why would the Tigers offer something 2 years ahead of time?
Yeah.
Because his agent, what he's going to do. He's going to go to the open. They're going to go to the open market to set the baseline, like you said.
Yeah.
So why bother?
Yeah.
You're going to go to arbitration this year. Deal with that now, and then I think there's also the potential of a lockout next year as well.
Right,
change a lot of things for all you know.
Right.
So why bother trying to offer $400 or $500 million now? Then his agent's going to say, "Okay, we got a big offer here. Let's start shopping him around and creating that tension between teams." So,
yeah.
And he's not going to just go ahead and sign it. So, totally agree with you, Al.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the Tigers making an offer anytime before the end of the year the risk reward is it'd be only. There's nothing. I don't see anything good that could come out of it.
Yeah.
If they, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a lose-lose for the Tigers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, damned if they do, damned if they don't.
Right.
So might as well. I just don't. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, all right. With that, I guess we're just cruising right along here. So we have lots to talk about, though. And actually, for that matter, we could also talk about Michigan State, who I think Tom Izzo is losing his mind. But we'll get to that in a little bit. And Greg, I don't know, your alma mater fired their head basketball coach over the weekend. Stan Heath.
Did they?
Yeah, Stan Heath got the Ziggy.
Did he? Because I thought they were having a pretty good year.
No, apparently he wasn't.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't catch that. Thank you for telling me. I did not.
Yeah, you'll have to dive into that. We'll have to talk about that in the next show.
Wow.
Yeah, but I don't have a segue for a guy getting fired to Steve Yzerman, other than Steve's not getting fired. But fine, it was funny to get into the Red Wings topic. Trade deadline was Friday at 3:00. Nick sends a text. What the fuck? Or something to that effect. They didn't do anything. And right after that, it was announced that Yzerman had pretty much waited to the last second, and he did make a trade. You know, it was announced like right at 3 or after 3:00, and the Wings acquired Justin Faulk, a right shot defenseman from the Blues. Cost them a first and a third round pick in this year's coming draft. Prospect Dmitiri Buchelnikov, but he's playing he's over in Russia playing in the KHL. So who even knows what he's going to be at this point? So that's like out of sight, out of mind with him. So they really didn't cost them that much, and it didn't cost any of the prospects they're excited about at Grand Rapids right now, which was, I think, the biggest deal. They could afford to deal a first rounder and a lower level prospect to actually improve the team, and Faulk should improve the team because, one, he's not a rental. He's 33 years old, is under contract next year for $6.5 million, so it's not a horrendous contract. For the season, he has 11 goals and now 23 assists. He had an assist in the game last night, and he averages 22-plus minutes a game, and he's going to fit right into the second pair of Ben Sherratt. So it filled a massive need this team had because it actually allows them to put defensemen in the correct pairings. Now they're move the younger guys into a third pairing, which is where they belong right now, and he generates some offense because they don't have a lot of defensemen who can actually generate offense out of their own zone. They just don't have that. As good as Mo Seider is, he's not that kind of player. So something they desperately needed was getting Faulk. And I'm glad Yzerman finally said, okay, it's time, we have to make the playoffs. And this is we have to make the playoffs kind of move.
Faulk played very well in New Jersey. The fans loved his calmness with the puck, and you mentioned Sherratt, paired with Sherratt.
Yeah.
The thing I like about Faulk is he's exactly what the Red Wings need back there.
Yep.
He is exactly that. A guy who's calm with the puck, won't give up the puck. It's not the offensive force that he was maybe 5-6 years ago, but that's okay. Yeah. They just need a guy who can competently get the puck out of the zone, make a breakout pass or two, be competent, of course, defensively as well.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of tread on the tire, but in a good way. I mean that by experience. He's played in many playoff games, and this is an old school trade deadline pickup by the Red. This is something Kenny Holland would have done, and so it's kind of a nod to those days.
Yeah, because you kind of wrote about that if you remember right in your last newsletter when you wrote about Larry Murphy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This is an old school pickup because of the kind of player he is, Faulk, and the kind of, I think, impact he can have. But the best part of it, which is unlike some of those other trades that Holland made, is what you said about he not being a rental. He's under contract for the 26-27 season. So that makes it even more, and even Steve said, that made it more digestible to give up a first-round pick knowing that we're going to have him all next year as well.
Right.
Yeah. Al, the way you're describing me, is like all I do is text you guys, "What the fuck."
Is it a lie, though? Yeah.
It's not exactly.
No, it's not exactly that, but no, Nick tends to have the most, out of us, he has the most strongly worded opinions. I'll put it that way.
I just want to make my thoughts very clear.
Yes. Yeah, and we also have to add that there was another deal made, and this is more for a culture fit, a big-time locker room guy.
Yeah.
As we all remember, David Perron, he was here for a couple years when they just missed making the playoffs a couple years ago. Now, he's a winger. Currently on IR, which is the issue, so the draft pick is the 4th-round pick from the Senators is conditional. It really depends because we don't know how much he's going to play, if at all. But he's 37 last year of the contract he signed when he left the Wings 2 years ago. And last of a 2-year, $8 million deal. And essentially, this was just, I think, Yzerman wanting a locker room glue guy who has been there, done that, written the book, so to speak, and was part of that group that almost got them to the playoffs 2 years ago. I mean, it's a great fit. I just don't, but this is that's strictly a culture move. Anything to get from Perron on ice is a complete bonus.
One of the things that we talked about a few times at the end of last year about the Wings is that they were soft.
Yeah.
So, and they didn't beef up over the offseason very much. So I think Perron, if he can get on the ice, he can get kind of prickly at times.
Yeah.
Maybe not crazy like Isaiah Stewart does for the Pistons, but he's gotten himself into scraps too. So, and I think, that's very useful, especially if they get into the playoffs. So, something to fire up the team. I think right now his injury is a sports hernia. At least that's what I've read.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that takes to kind of recover from that. And but hopefully he can get on the ice at least come playoff time.
Yeah.
And then help, like you guys said, just to energize the locker room, if nothing else. So yeah, it's not that bad of a pickup overall. Better than picking up Mrazek last year, right?
Yeah. Yeah. In this case, it didn't cost them a thing. A 4th-round pick. Yeah, that's nothing in the big scheme of things.
Right.
It might even, and it may not even be that because of depends if he plays or not. So, yeah, it's but yeah, hey. Culture is big in Detroit locker rooms. It seems to be in all the locker rooms around here.
Right.
So I guess the Wings are just joining the club.
Yeah, and that team, if any of our Detroit teams needs to fire them up, it's that one.
Yeah.
They are way too passive, in my opinion. So, yeah.
And that's the thing, though. It's those kind of guys are getting harder and harder to find. The guys that play ugly, are willing to stick their nose in, and it's just a different era, because when you sent that text again, here's a Nick text. Well, you sent that Nick about the game last night. Well, God, I forgot who was in it, but it was 7-7 at the time.
Tampa Bay,
with 100 penalty minutes. That's old school hockey. Right there.
Yeah, it was fun to look at the stats on Yahoo, and then they'll always have so and so scored at whatever time in this period, and then after that penalty in minutes, and this thing I had to keep scrolling to get to the end.
Yeah. That's that kind of hockey's like Wings era under Jacques Demers. High scoring, lots of penalty minutes, and iffy goaltending. So, and I kind of miss that era of hockey. I miss high-scoring hockey. Was, I know there's a happy medium from the high-scoring 80s to how ugly it got in the 90s with the left wing lock and all that crap. Yeah. But I kind of miss that up-down kind of hockey, which I hate to say it. That's why I kind of enjoyed watching the overtimes during the Olympics, because that's exactly what it was. And there was so much room on the ice because they were playing 3-on-3. I found myself really enjoying it.
That was Oilers hockey. That was the Oilers.
That exactly. Yes. Yes. You nailed it. That's how the Oilers played back in the day. But they actually had a goaltender too.
The Oilers were actually responsible for a brief rule change. Remember, Al, that when there was a coincidental minors, they did not play 4-on-4.
That's right. Yes, I forgot about that because it was a huge advantage for Edmonton because they were so talented with the puck.
Right.
Open ice was to their advantage.
Right.
Yeah.
Then they went back to 4-on-4, of course.
Yes, because NHL was sticking.
They got rid of the center line, so there wasn't any longer the 2-line pass offside.
Yes. Well, that was actually a smart thing to do. That did open up the game somewhat.
Right.
Yeah, but it's I do kind of miss that kind of hockey. So all right, David Perron, that's your job. At least give them the hard to play against part anyway.
Yeah, well, isn't it something that David Perron reminds us of the good old days when the Wings would miss the playoffs on the last day of the season?
Yeah. I hate to say it, but that was
those were good times.
It's not even funny right now.
But the thing is, though, over the past decade, that is probably the most exciting hockey we had around here. It really was.
I know, it's sad, isn't it?
It is.
He scored the big goal that kept the Wings alive for 45 minutes in the playoffs.
Exactly. And, yep, exactly. It's kind of like, how Greg and I, exactly, how Greg and I fixate on Bill Ahead in the 70s. So.
Still don't know who that is.
I'm going to have to find the YouTube clip and send it to Nick. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere, that goal.
Bill Ahead sounds like an early porn star.
Perron scored that goal and literally kept the Red Wings in the playoff chase for like another half an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Until the Flyers screwed the pooch later that night.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. All right. Speaking, I guess this is all since we've touched on the Tigers and the Red Wings. We should touch on the death of FanDuel Sports Detroit and the resurrection of the Tigers and Red Wings owning their own sports network. As it's over the past couple of weeks, we've heard more and more about what's going to happen. And the Tigers and Red Wings have launched a joint company, a joint streaming service called Detroit SportsNet. Why they couldn't have called it Pass, I don't know. They could have called it Pass and it would have been a home run. The Pro-Am Sports Network. Yeah. But again, this will be this is going to replace FanDuel you could go back to Fox Sports to Bally to FanDuel. It's going to replace that platform, and it's going to be in-market access. So if you're in Michigan, that is if you want to pay to watch the Tigers and Red Wings, that's who you're going to be giving your money to now. $19.99 a month, $189 for the year, and. But the worst part about this, guys, is not a peep about the Pistons, because obviously the Pistons are losing FanDuel as well. And it looks like if you want to be legal and pay to watch the local teams, instead of paying for one service, you're now going to have to pay for two, because it's looking. I'm guessing, I would not be surprised at the Pistons end up in some sort of NBA plan where the NBA handles it. I mean, some of the other teams in the league have already done this. So, as usual, great. We're done with FanDuel. They sucked. The app was horrible. But it also means now that we're probably, if you want to be legal about it, we're going to pay more money. Because now instead of paying for one service, we're likely going to have to pay for two. And hopefully that changes. Hopefully the Pistons do get involved in this. But it really feels like, since they've already set the pricing, it makes you wonder if the Pistons are going to do their own thing. Regardless of this, if it turns out the Pistons need to have their own service, the fans are going to get screwed.
Don't they always?
Yeah, really.
Used to be free when I was a kid.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but then again, when we were kids, we call like 1, maybe 2 games a week. That was, people have rose-colored glasses when it comes to. I remember watching George and Al, when they were on Channel 4. Yeah, they were on Saturday afternoons once a week, and there might be a night game, right. Maybe, during the week, and that was all the baseball you saw. That other than that, you had to listen to Ernie Harwell if you wanted to know what the hell was going on. Right. So, I know people bitch about how streaming is today, and I agree. I think it sucks, but we do have to remember that we can watch pretty much every damn game they play. But the problem is now, for a while there, it was great because you pretty much only had to deal with Fox Sports Detroit, and they had the vast majority of games, and that was that. But now it's there's for example the Tigers. I believe there's Apple,
Yep.
and obviously Peacock and NBC, and obviously now Detroit SportsNet, ESPN. I mean, you're probably gonna have to juggle and figure out 5 or 6 different entities that are going to be carrying baseball games, and honestly, the same for the Wings. Wings will be very similar, and the Pistons as well. I mean, do you know what? Cause I know the Pistons. They go, "Where's the Pistons game?" I go, "Wait a second. I forgot to check. Is it Peacock or Amazon? If I can't find them on FanDuel or ESPN or whatever, it can be. I can see why my 85-year-old dad gets confused by all this stuff when he's trying to find Rays games.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Absolutely.
a mess. It's a mess.
I think that's why he wants me to come down, so I can set up his streaming for the season. That's the ulterior motive right there.
There you go.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is extremely frustrating to figure all this shit out. Like I know the Pistons play tomorrow. I couldn't tell you. I think they're on Amazon tomorrow. Yes,
Amazon
they're on Amazon Thursday. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Thursday's an Amazon game, so. But then again, it shouldn't. That's the issue when it really comes down to it all. Yeah, I thank God FanDuel's gone, but it's still confusing and expensive to watch all the teams you want to watch. That's what sucks.
But still much cheaper and a much better experience than going to the game in person. We talked about that with Chris on Friday.
Yes, you are. Yes, exactly.
But yeah, it's. I don't know. I just looked it up. I have DirecTV. DirecTV is going to be carrying this Detroit SportsNet. So
they have announced that they are going to carry it?
Looks like they're going to, yeah. I Googled it. I'm getting an AI answer, so I'm not sure if it's from Sports Business Journal, so I'm not sure how accurate that is. But
well, Sports Business Journal is pretty reputable. So
Okay.
But yeah, that's the thing. But DirecTV is also not cheap.
No.
Either.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Because they're factoring that in. But yeah, because that was one of the things that they haven't really all settled yet is, because it's not going to be a 24/7 service like FanDuel was. It's going to be a part-time channel like Pass used to be essentially. So they still should have called it Pass. But yeah, it's so that would make it simpler if they could somehow bundle it. I'm a YouTube TV guy. And YouTube TV will never. They wrote off the regional sports network several years ago, and they'll never go back because they want to keep the price down. And YouTube TV ain't cheap, but it's not nearly as expensive as DirecTV. So, it might be a pirate's life for me. But yeah, and that's the other thing. All these corporations and leagues are all up in arms about streaming, but it's the easiest way to watch a damn game anymore.
Right.
It really is. When pirating gives you a better experience than the paid product, people are going to pirate. And essentially, for the most part, pirating is, if you know what to do, you know where to go, it's a far simpler experience to watch games if you pirate them rather than paying the $20 a month to whoever you're supposed to be paying money to.
Yeah.
So...
I don't know what you guys are talking about. No idea. No.
Is that a pirate's flag? Is he flying behind you there? Yeah. All right, Jolly
I don't know
Roger.
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
All right. Yes. All right. With that rant out of the way, I guess. I guess we can move on. We can move on to the Lions, who have made a lot of news, both good and bad, or surprising. I don't know if I would call it all bad. I would just call it things are changing. A change is going to come. The Lions started reshaping their roster over the past couple weeks, obviously because the new league year, I believe, starts on Wednesday. Today, well, they call it the first day of free agency, but today is the first day you can negotiate, and those deals become official on Wednesday. But obviously, they get announced today or tomorrow, whatever. And obviously, even before all this, the Lions made some. I wouldn't say there was one big surprise. I'll put it that way. But here's who they have lost so far. I think the most. I don't know if it was surprise. How about the most disappointing was they traded David Montgomery, the Knuckles, to Jahmyr Gibbs Sonic. He went to the Texans for 2 draft picks and a backup offensive guard. Graham Glasgow, last year's starting center, he was released. Alex Anzalone, he left as a free agent. It was announced today that he signed with the Buccaneers. Amik Robinson, who played a lot of outside corner for them last year, he left. He is signed with the Commanders, pardon me, Commies. Just call them the Commies. And defensive tackle Rory Lopez, who is a big-time rotational piece in the interior to defensive line. It was announced he signed with the Cardinals this afternoon. And the more surprising one was Taylor Decker, the starting left tackle for the last decade, was still under contract for 2 years. There was all these rumors after the season. He even said, he goes, I need some time to figure out if I want to play anymore because my shoulder is so bad. He didn't even practice the majority of the year. And he played in pain the whole year, and he wanted to think about it. Well, a few days ago, he thought about it and said, I'm coming back, put me in, coach, so to speak. And then over the weekend, it was announced that Taylor Decker, he actually posted on his Instagram that he wanted to be released. So it went from I'm coming back for another year to I want to leave all within a few days. So that release became official today. And even though it hasn't been it hasn't been confirmed. That's the word I'm looking for. It hasn't been confirmed. Word on the street, or specifically from a couple of the beat writers, is that it was money related and that the Lions wanted him to take a pay cut, and he refused. So they decided to part ways, because the NFL, when it comes down to brass tacks, is a business, and that's just how it goes. So, thoughts, guys, on the people they have lost so far?
With the linemen Glasgow and Decker, I was thinking about this. They are older.
Mm-hmm.
They're in their 30s.
Yep.
Decker in particular was hurt a lot last year, like you said, and that's coming at a time where they already had holes to plug in their offensive line anyway.
Right. And
which they picked up a couple guys they picked up a center for sure. I forget his name though, from Carolina, and then they pick up another center. Not another center, but another lineman a little later today. So they're building that back up, putting some experience in there. They're probably going to build through the draft too, is my guess.
Yeah.
And it's time that they ran into a problem last year because Ragnow out of nowhere retired. You didn't know whether you would have Decker beyond this year, even if he was under contract.
Yep.
Because he could all of a sudden retire. He's got the injuries to kind of justify retiring. So this year is a lot of turnover with the Lions, and I have a feeling they're going to build a lot through the draft and bring in guys. Plus, with pay cuts, they're already paying Hutchinson a lot. They're paying Goff, he's the highest paid player on the team, right? What's the other two? Sewell and St. Brown. Now they're going to have to Gibbs is going to get a payday. Yep. So for sure, a lot of these guys that they drafted are, they're at the end of their rookie contracts, and they're good, and so you're going to pay them too. So it's not a joke. They have to make a lot of changes. I'm bummed that Montgomery is gone because I like him a lot as a player. So,
and it's notable that he's the only one of these guys that's under 30.
Yeah. So.
And he's 29.
He's been around a while, though.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
So, and he's always been a good player. And but you know what? I'm kind of happier that they're doing a lot of this turnover now instead of these like mousy little moves that like put on Band-Aids and and patch up their offensive line. It's like I don't know what they're going to do this coming year. I have no idea.
Yeah.
this is still work in progress, but they probably needed to do this if you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and what's the old saying, Greg? It's better to move on a year too early than a year too late.
Yeah.
And that might pass, especially with Montgomery. That might, or Anzalone is another one. That might, some of these guys, like Nick said, it's probably time to move on from a few of these guys. It may hurt in the short term, and they may, they're not as good as they were before, before all this started. But again, that's what the draft is for, and they do have a shit ton of draft picks now.
Yeah, the heyday of the line was when they were rolling out Decker, Glasgow. What's the guy?
Ragnow.
Ragnow.
The guy played here 1 year and then went to.
Was it Zeitler?
Zeitler and Sewell.
Yeah,
that was the heyday. I mean, the 23-24 line was as good as it got. Okay.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you why it's so hard to win consistently in the NFL. That's why I hate to take my hat off to teams like the Packers and the Bills and the Chiefs and the 49ers and the Steelers, but you kind of have to, because those clubs, those franchises, almost are always, they're never down, number one, and they never vanish for several years in a row. It's a lot of these teams. The Raiders are going through it right now. The Raiders have spent feverishly, by the way, in free agency so far, anyway.
Oh my God, that center contract! Oh my God,
and other guys too. But the Raiders have been irrelevant for how long now? I mean, this was a franchise that was, that was the NFL for a time. I mean, they were like iconic.
Yep.
And despite moving from Oakland to LA and back to Oakland again, and all these weird moves they would make, they were always, the black and silver and everything. That franchise is borderline joke now.
Yeah.
And so it's so hard to stay relevant. I mean, when was the last time you saw the Packers just disappear for 4 or 5 years? Probably not until since the 80s, before Brett Favre showed up, when they were as bad as the Lions were in the mid to late 80s. That's the last time the Packers went through any sort of multi-year irrelevance.
Right.
And so you look at this, and this Lions offensive line situation is a microcosm of why it's so hard, how quickly a strength can turn into a potential weakness. And to Nick's point and your point too, Al, you both mentioned it. Roster churn. These guys age out. They can't play forever. You mentioned Montgomery, getting off the line on getting to Montgomery. And Al, when you and I were watching football, first following football, a 29-year-old running back he's 29, so?
Yeah.
These guys played 10, 11 years in the NFL at a high level. And now, guys get to be in their high 20s. They're almost like cast-offs now.
Yeah.
I don't know what Montgomery's going to do with the Texans. I have no idea. Good for him, good for the Texans. I have no idea what he's got left in the tank. The thing that he's got going for him, though, is he wasn't toting the ball 25 times a game because he was splitting carries with Gibbs. So that might increase lengthen his career a little, lengthen the prime of his career a little bit. But
and that's the fear of him losing is, are they going? You don't want to make Gibbs a complete bell cow either.
Well, that's the other right. But but my point is that I'm with Nick. I like the idea of the Lions, I guess, cutting bait, for lack of a better term, on these older guys. And some of these guys, Decker, for example, I'm a little bit disappointed in the way Decker handled this whole thing. He's a older guy with a bad shoulder. Apparently, he was ticked off that the Lions wanted him to take a pay cut. I'm like, dude, you're an older guy with a bad shoulder. I mean, he's got to come to terms with that. And I know that it's not popular to go against the players. Fans usually side with the players over management. But I thought I was a little disappointed with the way Decker handled that. Not enough to trash the guy, but I thought he was not being very realistic about his situation. But this just goes to show that these so-called strengths you have can quickly, within a couple of years, turn into potential weaknesses.
Yeah.
And they lost Kyle Allen, by the way. Backup quarterback's going to sign with the Bills.
Yep, I just saw that myself. So there was another hole.
Yeah.
But and he actually got some decent money. I saw he said like $2.1 million a year to back up Josh Allen. So,
Not bad.
yeah, really, that's the best job in sports.
Sure.
Essentially, especially if you're behind a star quarterback who never gets hurt. I mean, you're going to rake in the dough. No, he's going to carry clipboard. So, but
Geno
yeah,
Smith's available.
yeah, that was another one who got cut today. So, but they must have did it with smoke and mirrors in Seattle. But he looked like a completely different quarterback with the Raiders. So, but yeah, he'd be a great backup. I'll say that much. All right, and I'm also say this is officially who they have added so far, other than the few draft picks. Juice Scruggs, the backup offensive lineman, he was picked up in the Montgomery trade. So they have a veteran backup guy. I think can play guard or tackle. Larry Borum, who was signed today. There's no terms. He's essentially going to be. He looks like the swing tackle more than anything else. I don't know if he's going to. He could possibly slide into right tackle if they move Sewell to left tackle. That's a possibility. We'll have to wait and see. I have really feeling they're going to take a tackle in the draft, and probably pretty high. That's my guess. Mm-hmm. And obviously, the big signing was Cade Mays. He's definitely going to be the starting center. They got him for 3 years, $25 million. He was a starter in Carolina. He's not Frank Ragnow, but he's still a very good starter. He's a guy you put him in the line and you don't have to worry about him. So, and that's often that's really all you need at times.
Exactly.
Yeah, you need competency at the position. You don't need an all-pro Pro Bowler at every position,
right? Especially
on the line, because really the line is those 5 guys working together, and they do have a superstar on that line with Penei Sewell. You put and you fill in the rest with from competent to good guys, and they should be solid. I mean that. They're doing what they need to do. They really needed to concentrate on fixing the offensive line, and they have made a decent amount of progress. Right. But now there's other holes to fill. So who knows where we'll go? But I have a feeling Mays is the big signing. And the other interesting thing, guys, there's been no contract restructuring announced just yet, because the Lions, I believe, are still over the salary cap or right at the cap. Even after trading away Montgomery. So odds are it's going to be Jared Goff, and it's just up to the Lions as to how much they want to restructure to give them how much they figure they're going to need to be under the cap to do what they need to do yet this year. So that's the other issue we're waiting to drop is how much money is going to get booted down the line when they restructure Goff's contract, because that could end up being like $10 to $15 million taken off the future salary cap, so you're gambling the cap's going to go up considerably. But you don't have a choice when you pay your quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they're paying a lot of other guys too.
And there's more guys to pay. Either. Yeah. So. And they got all 4 of those guys who were drafted 4 years ago now that are coming up that they want to keep all of them, even though we'll see what happens when it comes to injuries and that. So, but they're going to extend Gibbs, and they're going to extend the linebacker, Jack. You know what I'm talking about.
Campbell.
Yeah, Campbell, exactly. And odds are they want to keep Laporta. So, and then we'll see. When it comes to what they're going to do with safety, because they may need 2. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, with that. I think the underrated loss, though, is going to be Roy Lopez. I mean, looking at the beat writers, they're like, oh, my God, that's maybe that one guy they couldn't afford to lose. So, it's going to be an interesting few days, to say the very least. So, yeah.
Well, thank God we don't have to hear about Max Crosby anymore.
Oh, yes.
God.
Has anybody? It wasn't Trey Henderson's free agent, though, isn't he?
Oh, I hope
yeah, but I don't. I think the Lions are going to be out on that. I'm pretty sure on that. So
I think.
But there's this. Yeah.
I was going to say at this point, I've seen a post like some Lions fan pining away for every edge in the league that's not already on the Lions. So
and then I know some edge signed early on today for a crazy amount of money, and he had like 5 sacks last year. So
was that the guy out of?
Carolina, I believe. Or I forgot if he was from Carolina or going to Carolina.
There was a guy that used to be on the Eagles.
Oh, are you talking about Carter?
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, there's been a lot. Let's just say there's been a lot of movement today.
Yeah.
And a lot of crazy money, as we mentioned earlier. The Raiders paying a center left tackle money, essentially, because he's getting $25 million a year. And that was a lot. That would have been a center all the Lions fans wanted. And then when they saw what the contract was, they're like, no. Like the player, don't want that contract. And that contract's insane. So, all right. Let's kind of start wrapping things up. We're kind of cruising right along here. So let's touch on Michigan State basketball. We really haven't talked much college basketball this year. And the main reason this is interesting is because of one, we have the rivalry thing, with the little brother stuff, and and Michigan. Essentially, you have two schools that have got two different thoughts into how they build rosters. With Michigan going the NIL route, and Dusty May, essentially, he's even said, well, certain. He even said in the press conference, certain coaches have called them mercenaries. I think hint, Tom Izzo, and even though May says but this is one of the best teams ever had when it comes to guys playing together. So and it's paid off. I mean, the Wolverines are number 3 in the country. They ended the season 30-2, won the Big Ten at 19-1, which I guess is the best record since Indiana went undefeated in 1976. They're going to be the top seed in the Big Ten tournament. Will likely be a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. And they swept the Spartans, who are number 8. There were no slouches. The Spartans ended the season 24-6, 15-5 in the Big. It was a 90-80 victory at Chrysler, so they swept the season series. Where things got interesting last night, guys, is kind of the backstage stuff. What always is in this rivalry. Mm-hmm. Tom Izzo kind of, first off, it's pretty obvious he doesn't like Dusty May. I think because Dusty May doesn't kiss the ring, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And Izzo, being the tough guy that he is, but and plus there was the fact that Dusty May called out Fears on the Jeremy Fears, Izzo's point guard, for the dirty play that he had in the first Michigan game, and we'll get to it when he did it again in this game. But after the game, Izzo, who's the old school, his team is more. There are some NIL money involved, but he is more of the I get him as freshmen, and by the time they're seniors, we're contending for a national title, which is harder and harder to do in today's environment. This was his quote after the game. He was obviously pissed. I get because the crowd started chanting "Little Brother," So, and Izzo in the press conference said, "I guess the crowd didn't watch the game because I'm nobody's damn little brother, and neither is my team." And that really comes off as I'm not mad, and don't you say I'm mad, but he's pissed.
Right.
But
let a bunch of students get under his skin.
He really, really did. He did. And the other thing is Fears, who kicked a guy in the nuts again in that game yesterday. I watched quite a bit of that game yesterday, and he did it again. He got fouled. He did get, it was a legit foul. He got pushed in the back, but instead of just moving along with his life, he did the thing with his leg again and tried to kick the Michigan player. He kicked the Michigan player right between the legs. Luckily, he didn't catch the nuts. But that's the second or third time that kid has done it this year. And rightfully, Dusty May has been calling him out for it, and Izzo's pissed about that. So I just find the whole thing hilarious is that, first off, you have the contrast of the Dustin, the 20-some-year younger Dusty May versus the old coot and Tom Izzo. Michigan going with the best team money can buy thing, and then you got Michigan State with their we're going to build a team the old school way. And then, of course, you have the Fears stuff, and, of course, you have Tom Izzo yelling at clouds. So the whole thing is goddamn hilarious, but when it comes to Michigan State, anymore, nothing surprises me, because as much as Michigan and Ohio State don't like each other, I think they respect each other. Michigan and Michigan State, they don't like each other, and they don't respect each other.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good call.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I would take it even a little different. Other than maybe some snotty Michigan fans, I think Michigan State's hatred is a little more vocal.
Oh yeah,
towards Michigan.
Yes.
Just in general.
Yeah.
I don't get into those kind of back and forth between Michigan State. Like, I don't mind some benign trash talk,
it gets to me. Yeah. If they start doing that like on sports talk radio, I just change the channel.
So
But yeah, because Michigan State, they do the little sister thing whenever they beat Michigan. So no, it's and this is all you know who this all goes back to, Greg? Your man D'Antonio. When he took exception to an offhand comment that Mike Hart called him little brother. Now it was not even. I don't even think he meant it as a huge slight or whatever. It was just in part of an interview. D'Antonio saw that, latched onto it, and used that for the disrespect thing for the next 10 years. And Michigan State is still living off of that with Izzo.
Right.
But I don't know about you guys, but I find Tom Izzo to be more and more annoying. I really do.
Well, I mean, he's older. He's cranky.
What, he's 71 now, I believe?
Yeah, he's older and cranky now, and he's.
Am I going to be like that in like 10 years?
I mean,
if you hang around us.
But look at it this way though. If he was not like that, this rivalry wouldn't be as fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he takes these things, Izzo takes these things, kind of to heart, and you mentioned he maybe not liking Dusty May or whatever, and this thing with the fans. I think it's good. That's the kind of stuff, Al, that when Michigan, I mean, obviously the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry never really took a pause, but to me, its heyday was still the Bo and Woody years.
Oh yeah,
the 10-year war. Okay. Well, part of that rivalry was this kind of stuff, the kind of the extracurricular stuff, the stuff that happened like kind of off the field, or the Woody punching a cameraman, or
Woody when he tore up the yard markers one year.
The yard marker, the things he would say, and the Bo. I don't know. To me, that was part of it. I mean, it was like the Red Wings Avalanche thing. There was good rivalries. To me, can't just exist on in-game performances only. I mean, it can't. There has to be other things in the mix that makes it a rivalry. I mean, you can't just have two good teams go at it and say, "Oh, that's your rivalry." Okay, that's fine. But to me, part of the rivalry is that extracurricular stuff, the Red Wings and Avalanche stuff that went on, Yankees, Red Sox in the past. All these great rivalries. And I think you're dead on when you say when you talk about the respect thing. But you know what? Some disrespect makes a rivalry good too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's boring to just rely on the fact you've got two good teams always playing each other. And okay, that's great. Yeah, they're always good and they're always playing each other and whatever. But doesn't some of the rivalry juice come from some of this kind of stuff? Maybe Tom Izzo's annoying thing, or Dusty May is this, and that kid does this, and I mean, I'm not advocating to kick people. I'm not suggesting that, but that's the kind of thing that makes this stuff good to me.
Yeah. You're not advocating to kick people. Poor Draymond Green. My goodness.
Oh, gosh. How about Sue? Didn't Sue do that, too?
He stomped on people.
Yeah, he stomped.
He stomped on people.
That's right, he stomped on people.
Oh, my God. Now we're going down the Detroit rabbit hole of kicking and stomping on people. But, yeah. No, but you're right. Yeah, what makes a rivalry, and it's right, it makes it a hell of a lot more interesting. It really does. Say what you will about John Beilein, as good as he was, and and him and Izzo, they pretty much, they were very, very even in that era, but it was obvious that Izzo really, really liked Beilein. And who didn't? No, he was a great coach who did things the right way, but I can see, but Beilein, he saw where this was all headed. With players. With the transfer portal and NIL and all that stuff, he goes, "This isn't for me, so I'm leaving." And he knew it was the time to get out.
Right.
So, but you have guys like Izzo who are going to fight tooth and nail be the last man standing when it comes to the old school way of coaching, and you have to wonder how much longer is that realistic.
Do you think that they meaning Michigan State will promote from within somebody that Tom handpicks, or do you think they'll look outside the school for his replacement?
I think Izzo runs that school. Yeah. I have a feeling that it'll be whoever he deems correct. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be from anybody on his staff. I couldn't even tell you who his assistants are. Right. Because it was like back in the day, you knew, that Judd was going to deem it Izzo's team.
Yeah.
But
is Wayne Stevens still at Western?
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Okay, all right, I have to look it up.
Yeah, we'll have to look it up. But yeah, that's a good point. When Izzo does decide it's time to hang him up, he's going to have a big say in who is his replacement, because essentially, it's his school. He is the face of Michigan State University. He is the face of that school.
Well,
he always sticks his nose into everything. Like everything that happens there, he either has a comment or he steps into it.
Right. No, that's true. Dwayne Stevens got fired just the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
More buyouts.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I think the whole NIL thing being something new, I think the athletic director is probably on the newer side. I don't know how long. Not very long there.
Right.
If I remember correctly. They're going to have pressure to field a competitive team. And if Michigan keeps beating them like they did, this past year, they're going to need, They're going to need to compete against Michigan or other teams as well. So I think the NIL is going to come much more to Michigan State after Izzo for sure. So.
Yeah.
So and so I don't know if he's going to get the luxury of naming his successor, no matter how deified he's been in East Lansing.
No, we'll see. Yeah.
So
we'll see.
Yeah, but you're right. Deified is a good word to use when it comes to Izzo and East Lansing. It really is. That's a perfect word to use for him there. He's the Bo Schembechler of Michigan State essentially, and probably less problematic as well. So
I'm sorry. Go
ahead.
I'm going to say I'm not putting him down at all. I mean, he was been a fantastic coach. There's no way he would last that long as a coach.
Yeah,
being
exactly.
Terrible.
Right.
He's been fantastic. It's just, whatever worked when he was much younger, much earlier on in the job is. Yeah. This whole NIL thing has been blowing up for the last 5-6 years or something.
Yeah. Right. It happens to every coach. The game ultimately passes by every coach. Everyone, sooner or later, it's going to pass you by.
That's true.
Yeah, and we might be starting to see that between Michigan and Michigan State. And we know, especially with a much younger coach in Dusty. I fear of Dusty Mays that someone poaches him. Be it the NBA or a true blue blood like a Kansas, North Carolina, Louisville kind of thing. So, but right now he's got a machine there at University of Michigan. He really, really does. So. All right, I think with that, it's time for our Jerk of the Week. We've have pretty much covered the gamut tonight, college and pro, so it's time to get the hell out of here. So, Nick, who is your Jerk of the Week?
So I'm going to target public relations. It was originally going to be the NHL public relations because they were trying to sell the the Wings Devils matchup as a battle between Larkin and Hughes. And the dumbasses didn't even know Larkin was out for a long time. But I have a better one. It was a lot more fun. It came out last week. And my Jerk of the Week goes to the Atlanta Hawks. And you know this one, right? They were going to have a night to celebrate Magic City, which if you've never heard of it, and I haven't until I read the article, is a local strip club in Atlanta. And I think it was a player on another team, it might have been San Antonio, called them out for this. Like, how the fuck are you, celebrating a strip club? But it gets funnier than that because one of the owners of the Atlanta Hawks By the way, former Piston Grant Hill is a minority owner in the team.
Oh.
But the majority owner, an actress named Jamie Gertz, responded to this. It said, in the team's announcement Thursday, Hawks principal owner Jamie Gertz said the Hawks wanted to acknowledge Magic City's incredible impact on our city and its unique culture, which I thought was just a riot considering what we're talking about. And in the South, where probably they're more, religious and Christian than, us heathen over here in the Pacific Northwest.
Right.
And I'll update you today. The NBA announced that they were canceling that because of the backlash from what do you call it? But my jerk of the week is the Atlanta Hawks for even considering something like that, and which is kind of like a slap in the face to probably every woman that goes to see the game. I can't imagine what the halftime dedication is going to look like on that one. So. But yeah, Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, that whole thing was bonkers from the start. It really was.
It really was.
So yeah, that's as soon as you said Hawks, I know where you were going with that. He was going right to Magic City. So, All right, Greg, who's your jerk?
Well, it's funny because I've made the Las Vegas Raiders my jerk in the kind of recent past when they fired Pete Carroll, and I said, why in the world were they even hiring Pete Carroll to begin with? Yeah. Well, and as I was talking about them a few minutes ago, we all kind of agree that the Cleveland Browns are kind of the gold standard as like the Lions of the AFC. Okay, I mentioned to you guys yesterday in chat that I find it so funny that the Lions and the Browns battled it out for 4 championships in the 1950s, and now neither of them have been anywhere near really close. Well, Lions a couple years ago to a Super Bowl. Okay, the 2 franchises that have never been in the Super Bowl era playing in a championship game. The Raiders now are kind of, they're not Browns level yet because that's still a little ways to go. But these moves they made today in free agency, I know it's splashy and I know it's designed to get the fan base going and everything, get the people talking about the team. I was just complaining about how they haven't been relevant in years. But why you're giving $81 million to a center. That's the first thing. I don't care how good this kid, what's his name, is Tyler Linderbaum. I don't care how good he is. No center is worth $81 million. Well, they went on this spree. Jalen Naylor, 3 years, $35 million. Quay Walker, a linebacker who's over the hill. Nakobe Dean and defensive end Kwity Paye. All these, they spent all this. And the reason I'm making them the jerk of the week is I just don't think it's going to work. The Lions have. We've seen this happen before where really bad franchises try to buy their way out of trouble by signing free agents left and right. Remember the Red Wings did that in the mid-'80s when they brought in all those free agents and it completely backfired. The Lions have tried in the past where they've offered big-time money to marginal players. Need I say more about guys like Trey Flowers and stuff? It really works. So the Raiders are shelling out all of this money for these players that I don't look at any of these guys as being their ticket out of the basement of the AFC. I could be wrong. I think it's done to be splashy and to make it look like you're doing something. The way to win in the NFL, as you know, is to draft, develop, and then fill in some holes every so often with free agency. That's true in trades. But the Raiders are just opening up the pocketbook and spending like a drunken sailor, and I just don't think it's going to work. And it's just going to add to their legacy of being a very suspiciously run franchise that really doesn't know what they're doing.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah, it's like I thought the same thing when you were talking about that with the Raiders. I was thinking the Dolphins are in that same boat.
Yeah, kind of the Dolphins too. Yeah,
because they have the $99 million dead cap money.
Right.
So it's like, how the hell do you get into that situation?
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right, I guess it's my turn. My jerk of the week. There's always all kinds of things to pick from, but I'm going to get slightly political. Okay. And I don't know if you guys, you probably heard about. Remember the College Sports Summit that President Trump was going to host on Friday?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yes, he hosted a summit because he's scared for the future of college sports. That because the players are getting paid, and he had people there like ESPN president Jimmy Pitaro, Texas Tech booster Cody Campbell. He's the guy who runs who's put together this coalition to run ads saying college sports needs to change because we can't go on like this. You've seen the ads you've seen the commercials during games. Urban Meyer was there. Little Marco Rubio was there. Jim Jordan, the Ohio State wrestling coach who ignored sexual assault and became a state representative, a congressman for Ohio, was there. But you know who wasn't there? Players. Tim Tebow was there. Current players who were most affected by all this stuff, nowhere to be seen. It was all the big money guys. It was like conference commissioners, TV people, politicians, and boosters with money. And famous coaches like Nick Saban was there. And like I mentioned, Urban Meyer was there. But no current coaches. I don't think there was any current ADs. There was no current players who would be most affected by anything they're trying to do. And ultimately, you know what Trump did? He issued an executive order ordering college sports to change. Not going to do a goddamn thing, but he issued an order. It was the most, there's so much bad going on. Don't even get me going on what's going on in the Middle East right now. We got that going on, yet I'm going to bemoan what's happening to college sports because players are getting paid. It was the dumbest. There's been a lot of really dumb stuff going on in the White House lately. This is high up there on the list. It was absolute. Yeah, Jim Jordan, he's a paragon of virtue if I ever seen one.
You forgot to mention Melania not reading the room and saying, "Good news, guys! My movie is doing this and doing that."
Yeah, no. Oh yeah, don't get me out. I turned on my Amazon Fire Stick today. There's an ad for that goddamn movie. It's on Prime now. Because it was financed by Jeff Bezos, bitch. So, yeah, the whole thing. But this whole college sports summit was one of the dumbest things I've ever said. I've seen from this White House, and they've done a lot of. I mean, on the harmless side of things, on that side of things, it's harmless. Right. If nothing's going to come of it. Right. It was all for TV and show and politicians to put it on their resumes and whatever. But yeah, the college sports summit was absolutely bonkers dumb. So my jerk of the week is Donald Trump and all the people who participated in was really a useless dog and pony show. We're nowhere to be seen.
We're not there,
yeah. Not surprising he did that though.
Yeah, but I found it hilarious that Jim Jordan was there, infamously, who ignored sexual assaults on the Ohio State wrestling team. Yeah. But he knows about college sports. Oh my God! Don't get me going. All right, with that, we got to get out of here. So as always, I'll cut to you, Greg, and you can get out the thank yous and the what fors and the social media and all that fun stuff.
Sure. We will. I'm not sure if we'll be back. It sounds like we're going to take the 23rd off, which I'm completely fine with. If that's the case, we'll see you at the beginning of April. The Tigers will have started. The Red Wings and the Pistons will be maybe in the playoff picture at that point, so that's fine. I'm working on, speaking of the Red Wings, guys, I'm working on getting Paul Woods on the show. Paul, of course, is going to be retiring this year after many, many, many years as the Red Wings radio analyst. And I wrote to Kenny Cal today, and I said, do you think you could ask Paul if he would be willing to join us? Because I'd like to talk to him, and we, and if they both want to come on and talk, even if we have to wait till the summertime, because when the season's over with, that's fine. But we've never had Paul on the show. I'd love to talk about a lot of things, not just his Red Wings announcing days, but also his playing days with Bobby Crom and the whole 9 yards. So
we can talk about Bill Ahead.
Bill Ahead, which I dropped the link to that goal.
Nick rolls his eyes.
I dropped the link to that goal in the chat, by the way.
Yes, anyway. I did. And it was a glorious goal. It really is.
So yes. I will say also thank my lovely wife Sharon, and also please read me at gregeno.substack.com. I'll be your inbox. And
don't forget the social media.
At Greg Eno, and please subscribe. I'll be your inbox every Monday. I would appreciate that. And thank you, gentlemen, for making Monday night so gosh darn fun.
All right, Nick, you're up.
Yeah, so the place you can find me, like to talk sports, is on Twitter at Nick Milanovich. You'll also see my little Instagram thing, which is I don't really talk about sports over there, but other stuff that I do. So that's when I'm not doing sports. So that's where to find me, guys.
All right. And, of course, thank you to you guys for putting up with these shenanigans that we do every couple of weeks, and also for me deciding to travel. Yeah, the reason we're taking the 23rd off is I'm headed to Florida. I kind of alluded to it earlier when I said my dad wants me to come down to set up his streaming for baseball, amongst other things, but I think that's the main reason he wants me to come down. But, yeah, I'm going to Florida for about a week and a half, so we'll be back in 4 weeks rather than 2. But as always, we would appreciate if you like, share, and subscribe to the Knee Jerks podcast. All the links that we talk about can be found on our webpage. I might even throw on a link. First off, I'll throw a link to the podcast we did with Chris on Friday. So please listen to that or watch it. Maybe I'll even throw on Bill Lahad's link. Just so people can see that goal we keep talking about. Yeah. But also. We would appreciate that you can find links to all the social media and links to where you can find the podcast. We are anywhere podcasts are found, including Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio. We're on Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer, Radio Public, Ghana. Pretty much any place podcasts are aggregated. Just do a search for the Knee Jerks podcast, and you can find us. And then please subscribe to the show. And, of course, thekneejerks.net. where all those links I just mentioned can be found, all the show notes, everything we talked about, all the social media, all right there, along with anything else I'll throw on, like the Bill Lahead goal. All right, with that, we need to get out of here. So, yeah, I think it probably worked out great if we come back in a month, and that the baseball season will have just started, and we'll be really close to the playoffs for the Wings and Pistons. So I guess that's a plan if we have one. So until that time, this is Al Beaton saying good evening, good luck, and aloha, along with Nick Milanovich.
Good night, guys.
And, of course, the autographed hound himself, Greg Eno.
Oh, ciao, Italy. We'll see you in about a month. Thanks.